There are times during an NFL training camp when an unsaid change occurs behind the scenes, rather than a great play or a newsworthy injury that alters the tone. The rotation became slower. It feels like the energy has been adjusted. And you could feel that change if you were paying close attention on the 9th day of Brown's camp. There was no news release about it. No tweet contained it. It was evident in the side discussions, the body language, and the lack of someone or something. Sanders was that person. As someone who has watched a quarterback's career from Jackson State's grit to Colorado's turbulence to the polished intensity he brought into this Browns locker room, you know how to read the silences. Now, I'm not one to jump to conclusions without context. You can hear silence. After practice, Tony G had the opportunity to talk to Sanders, and all he received was a cool, collected, "I'm good." It wasn't idle conversation. That was the delivery of the message. "I'm doing fine." That's the kind of answer you give when you're not in a panic but also don't offer any other information. It's the type of statement you make after receiving instructions on how to proceed. Professional, restrained, yet laden with connotations. Because if there was a fire in the building, you could see it in Sanders' eyes, as everybody who knows him knows. Moreover, there was no fire. Just a dot of ice. The Browns then gave their official word. Aches in the arms. Easy, hygienic, and secure. However, because this isn't a 35-year-old veteran being kept for the first week, let's dissect that. This teenage quarterback is attending his first NFL training camp. He has been demanding more reps. Live action is hardly ever seen outside of planned drills. Why now, then? And when he's finally starting to get rhythm, why pull him? Why bench the only quarterback in the room who is steadily improving and growing? I'll explain why. Since they have witnessed enough already. That's what I think. The Browns are keeping a tight grip on their cards. They are not going to squander Sanders on pointless August battles because they know exactly what they have in him. He is being protected by them. Yes, keeping him sharp but also keeping him out of sight. Concealed from the media, scouts, and the narrative whirlpool that prematurely eats up potential quarterbacks. They're standing by. Awaiting the time when the NFL is forced to pay attention and the silence ends. Now that Sanders was not participating, the program went on. The reps continued, and Dillon Gabriel took over the spotlight in his place. And pay attention, I want to be fair. Gabriel is working hard. He is fulfilling all of the requests made of him. I appreciate that he is making an effort to establish his belonging, but this isn't about effort. This has to do with execution. And his shot was that. He failed to take the moment, even though the field was his. The film was rolled. I observed every reversal, every step forward, and every pause. Furthermore, I didn't witness a young shooter eager to seize power. Was a quarterback attempting to avoid making a mistake? This game cannot be played at half speed. Gabriel was double-clutching, second-guessing, and missing windows. The only other legitimate contender snapping pictures that day was Joe Flacco. But Gabriel didn't even come close. He simply didn't stand out in a room with Sanders and Pickett. Therefore, I can't help but chuckle when I hear internet analysts, beat writers, and fans suggest that Gabriel ought to be ranked higher than Sanders on the depth chart. It's impolite. In addition to being incorrect, Sanders is the only quarterback in that room displaying both presence and growth, aside from Flacco. He appears more at ease, more secure, and more like the future with each practice and day. I will give Flacco his flowers. Veteran knowledge, MVP of the Super Bowl. He deserves to be given the benefit of the doubt. It's okay if he begins the first week. I won't contest that. However, the heat starts as soon as the regular season begins. Sanders ought to be the next person in line. Not pick Sanders, not Gabriel. The annoying thing is that he continues to go unnoticed and is still regarded as a maybe rather than a must. That isn't because he isn't prepared, though. The reason for this is that the Browns are playing this one cleverly, possibly too cleverly. Perhaps they do not want the media hysteria just yet. Perhaps they don't want any ideas to reach the league. However, that level of caution, in my opinion, only indicates one thing. They are aware that he is authentic. The camp marched back onto the field. Players were whirling, and pads were popping. Kenny Pickett came back moving respectably and in uniform. However, nothing happened during team drills. Not one rep. That hamstring isn't working properly. I also don't give a damn about what the trainers say. It's not merely being cautious. When a quarterback doesn't make a snap during competitive reps, that is an issue. That is a warning sign. However, that wasn't even the day's most important story. Gabriel was the owner of the headline, and not in a positive sense. One interception, multiple batted balls, poor timing, misread coverages, and 3 completions on 14 tries. He had turned off his internal clock. He thought the game moved too quickly. It wasn't merely a difficult experience. It was a wake-up call. Furthermore, I don't say that to disparage the man. I'd like to be mistaken. I hope I'm not mistaken, but how will he react when the lights are bright if this is your third-round choice and these are the repetitions he's accumulating when they're low? Sanders, meanwhile, doesn't even require 15 repetitions to leave his mark. He takes over, finishes 7 of 10, scores a touchdown in the red zone, and leaves as if nothing had happened. Without the spotlight or the media swooning over him, he is surgical, composed, and quiet. It's not common. Maturity is that. Control is that. He's developing a rapport. He is in charge of the meeting. He is unquestionably developing silently. Additionally, it's not simply growth. When a quarterback develops this way beneath the radar, it poses a threat to the league as a whole. Naturally, Asante Samuel had to go stir things up online after that. Stated that teams like the Saints or Colts would make trade bids if Sanders has a stellar preseason stat line, such as 949 with a few touchdowns. This is similar to fantasy football. As if Sanders were just another piece of equipment. Let me put this as simply as possible. There is no Sanders on the block. He's not a flip. He isn't a trade baiter. He is not a test subject. He is developing into a franchise quarterback. The Browns front office will notice that if they have any kind of vision at all. You don't dismiss a novice wides playing too well, so there's this kind of upside. It's not the foundation of great organizations. You remain calm. Early cash outs are not permitted. You construct upon it. Because it won't be a test when Sanders finally receives the all clear, when the headset turns on, and when the spotlight lands on him. There will be a takeover. Allow me to show you what's happening in Cleveland. Not just the outward appearance, but also the hidden agenda, the private discussions, and the silent flame that burns in the heart of a teenage quarterback named Sanders. All day long, you can add names to the mix. Dylan Gabriel, additional backups, system specialists, and aspirants. Let the press make assumptions. Let's debate on Twitter. This league does just that. However, there is one name that will never go away. One name is becoming more popular. Hold on. In Berea, every single day. Sanders. He isn't a plot point. He makes a statement. Making the roster isn't his only goal. He is attempting to alter the story. And you can sense it in the middle of training camp right now. When he's around, the atmosphere changes. Joe, the seasoned veteran, the former MVP of the Super Bowl, and the man who has seen more coverage than the majority of these kids have taken plays, so let's start by talking about yesterday. It looked really good. It's undeniable. 2 touchdowns. 0.9413, he seems calm. He had the appearance of someone who had been here before. It was evident in the way he led the huddle and worked through his progressions. He wasn't speculating. He was domineering. To be quite honest, I wouldn't be shocked if Stansky allowed him to play in a series or two on Friday night against Carolina to test it. Just to let the league know that he still has some energy left. Don't get me wrong, though, the true tension isn't there. Next week we'll see the arrival of the actual storm. Bryce Young is anticipated to play in the first preseason game, Carolina. Week and joint practices. There will be their starters. Pads popping live. Pace. Additionally, there are no leaks in Cleveland when Stefanski is playing it tight, lockjaw. I won't predict if the Browns' starting lineup will play. However, I've witnessed enough training camps to believe my gut. It claims that since something is developing into something actual, they play for at least one drive, if not two. Close your eyes now and visualize this with me. The end of August is here. The sun is blazing in Ohio. The grass is blazing. All the coaches are yelling. All of the assistants are taking notes. Additionally, each rep is a battleground. That is the essence of camp. It's not glitzy. It's not adorable. It's a struggle for existence. Sanders. A 22-year-old quarterback and the son of a legend is in the center of it all. Furthermore, let's not act as though being the son of Deion Sanders doesn't bring attention. It does. Everyone is watching you enter the room, either anticipating brilliance or waiting for a slip-up. Sanders, however, did not enter the scene to steal notoriety. He entered to establish his fucking empire. 5th round selection. On a screen, that was just a number. The child arrived as if this league owed him nothing right away. He arrived early. He was intent. He had an obsession. Footwork, mechanics, video analysis, practice drills. Rapport with receivers, and previous huddle leadership. It wasn't simply the playbook he was learning. It began to appear rapidly as he was breathing it, living inside it, and consuming it. The throws, precise pocket presence, immaculate timing, tight spirals with touch, and reads are all much ahead of what you would anticipate. Reporters began broadcasting instead of whispering. Sanders appears to be the camp's top quarterback. Not the most eye-catching. It's not the best or the loudest. But then the transformation came suddenly. Sanders is a rapper. It's gone. BNCHED, not in the first team's rotation. As simple as that. Joe Flacco then entered once again. Don't misunderstand me. It's not about criticizing Flacco. The dude has my respect, I always have. Super Bowl champion, expert, seasoned, and a leader. Let's not fool ourselves, though. Dada's arm. It has changed from its previous state. His legs were all but gone. He isn't prolonging plays. He isn't making things up. Nobody is being dazzled by him. It's handling. And that's what irritates me, because what exactly are we constructing in Cleveland? Are we finally taking meaningful chances, or are we just being cautious? Because I'm hearing from players within the building, even from staff members who are not on the record, let me tell you that. They don't understand. They're annoyed. To put it plainly, one offensive lineman said, "The game is different when Sanders is playing. You sense it. There is a pulse to the offense." However, the coaching staff is clinging to safety. They are holding on to the status quo. They fear deviating from the plan. What is Sanders' job? Remains quiet. He doesn't post mysterious content on social media. He doesn't let his emotions out. He doesn't act like a diva. He grinds. He lives in the movie, asks questions, makes calls, and is the last person off the field and the first person in the meeting room. Scout team reps are being run by him as if they were playoff drives. Leadership is that. That's hunger. This league is meant to honor it, but the media pointed out document ESPN's Daniel Ozzie called it out. Twitter was inundated by fans. It dawned on me as former players began to talk. This has nothing to do with development. This has to do with front office control. Sanders is the player they want. I've heard it. GM, the ceiling is seen by Andrew. Barry in possession. On and off the field, they adore the upside, but the coaching staff is afraid to upset the status quo. Even if a rookie is the most NFL-ready player on the team, they still don't want to hand him the keys. Thus, we have a split, a conflict between two viewpoints. A person trapped in the middle, one side moving forward, and the other side mired in the past. SandersFocus.com calm, deadly serious. It was best expressed by one assistant coach. He isn't grumbling. Every day, he just sharpens his sword. And the preseason opener is just a few days away. The lights are going to turn on. The camera is prepared for action. And this is the query. Reverberating around Cleveland. Do you unleash the storm, or do you play it safe? Because this goes beyond the first week. This relates to the type of club the Browns hope to become. Do we have faith in veterans based just on their longevity? Or do we go with a quarterback who has previously shown that he is prepared? Because this is the reality. Sanders is battling for more than simply a job. He is advocating for cultural reform. I don't say that lightly either. There is more to this dispute than just the quarterback. This is a conflict between a clipboard and a cannon, between comfort and anarchy, and between dread and faith. I want to know what you would do. Do you keep the seat toasty with Super Bowl memorabilia? Or do you leave the child inside while you observe the fire spreading? Because this conversation is here to stay, that much is certain. Not until the Cleveland Browns decide, not next week, nor next month. It's between two futures, not just two quarterbacks. I am in charge of a major project. Do you want to win a complimentary Browns game jersey? Do you know who gets to start the first week? Post your forecast in the comments section. Regards. Press the like button. Click subscribe. 5 winners were chosen at random. Indeed, your odds increase with the number of videos you comment on. Let's operate it. A dot. And we're waiting now. The lights are starting to turn on. And if Cleveland has the guts to give this child the keys, we might be seeing the beginning of something truly remarkable. This is the Sanders period, I promise you, just waiting to get going. The next one will see you.